Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to look at the jump which we are seeing in the Nike's share price and the immediate cause of it, which is the yesterday's quarterly earnings announcement, which has caused this spike. And right now, the share is trading almost 6 to 7 percentage point higher. And if we see this momentum sustaining, then I think we can even expect the sort of turnaround from short to medium term in the share price trajectory of the Nike. The company, which is mainly focused in the apparel and footwear segment, has delivered earnings beat. Its revenues are as per the expectations. There is not much of an increase in total percentage growth. The revenues are slightly up, but not much. And if we look at the total earnings, the profit, it is higher for most geographies except its major market of United States. So purely from the numbers perspective, this is a mixed bag, but it has delivered better than expectations. It has been able to beat the consensus estimates, and that has propelled the share price higher, as not many investors were factoring in even the results to be this much good. So that is one primary reason why we are seeing a spike in the Nike's share price in today's session. Now let us go to the announcement report here. If we look at the highlights of these announcement, the revenues for the first quarter of fiscal year 2024 are up 2% compared to the numbers for the same quarter a year back. The company operates through multiple channels. It sells directly as well as through the online and also by contract, by arrangement with other store operators. So taken together, it reports these earnings in a segmental basis, and we get to know which segment how well, and that gives us the idea of the revenues being generated by these channels independently. Margin has decreased 10 basis point to 44.2%, but even at this level, it is higher than the estimate. The diluted earnings stands at US dollar 0.94, which is up 1 percentage point. The wholesale revenues stand at US dollar 7 billion, which is 1% on a currency neutral basis. The digital sales, the e-commerce sales have increased 2 percentage point. The macroeconomic picture has not been that good, but even in this backdrop of not much increasing macroeconomic well and even show slight growth, and that has given the incentives for the investors to now jump in, and that is the reason why we are seeing this spike in the share price of the company. So it has been listed by the company as a achievement and a sort of endorsement of the Nike brand. These are the main highlights of the company's quarterly earnings. The revenues are higher and now stand at US dollar 12.9 billion compared to the revenues for the same quarter of last year. The expenses are also up, but the impact on the gross margin is marginal, not much. Its effective tax rate is lower, so that has enabled the company to take home higher net income. The net income stands at $1.5 billion, which is 1% lower compared to the first quarter of 2023. The inventories are down 10%, which is quite solid achievement of sort for the company because the macroeconomic environment has been challenging, and in such environment the company has been able to reduce its inventories by 10 percentage point. That shows the excitement for the goods offered by the brand, the footwear and the apparels mainly. Also, smaller amount of revenue comes in from the equipment segment as well. Cash and cash equivalents are lower for the company by US dollar now at US dollar 8.8 billion, which is US dollar 3.1 billion lower. Dividends are up, share purchases stand at US dollar 1.1 billion. This is a conference call. Now we move on to the company's consolidated statement of income. So the revenue 2 percentage point up, cost of sales also 2 percentage point up. That is why there is not much of an change in the company's gross margin, only slight decrease of 10 basis point. Demand creation expenses are up, the operating overhead expenses are also up. Net income is lower for the quarter. Alright, now you can have a look on the segmental revenues, geography wise, as well as in terms of footwear, apparels, and equipment. So we have the breakup provided by the company, which gives us a good idea of how the company, the Nike brand, is doing in various markets and also each of its segments, the performance of each segments. Now moving forward, we have a lot of things which might impact the company's prospects. One thing to take note of is buying goods and apparels from the sporting brands like Nike. Their purchasing power becomes quite important for the company, and with the impending student loan payment resumption in the coming months, we are likely to see slight impact of the on the purchasing power of the students, and this segment is likely to get impacted, but we will have to wait. So that is one negative moving forward. But even for the last quarter, the macroeconomic scenario was challenging enough. Now only we are seeing some stability on the higher side for the inflation. So inflation has also been one concern for the company for almost a year now. Now let us look at the technical side of the story and how the share price of the company is doing. This is the hourly chart. Each candle red represents 1 hour. If we look at the share price trajectory of the Nike shares for last couple of months, it has been downward, it has been bearish, and this spike is like a respite for the investors of the company, because in the recent past the momentum has been bearish for the Nike, and it has continually traded lower and lower, making lower lows and lower highs. Now this high is higher than the prior swing high, but right now I don't really feel that this is the point to jump in. We will have to allow it more time to stabilize and consolidate on these higher levels, and only in that scenario we can think about initiating the trade to profit from the possibility of and if in the coming sessions we see upward momentum or sustained upward momentum, we can think about buying it for the possibility of resuming to move higher and in coming sessions cross and hold above US $100 level. So the possibility is there that this might prove to be a turning point for the share price of the company. But today is stayed firmly because after starting the day higher, it has lost ground almost from the day's high. So that creates doubts in the minds of investors, and we will have to adopt a wait and watch approach at the current juncture. This is the story from the short term. Let us also look at daily time frame share price. After making high in the month of February at 131, the Nike has lost almost 30 percentage point from the from those higher levels. It has lost 30 percentage of its market value if we count it from the swing high. But on these lower levels, it has been holding around these sub 100 levels for last month or two. And after this spike, so it will be a difficult environment for the company to operate in and sustain these kind of results in the coming quarter as well. Not many analysts were expecting the company to deliver this much growth as well, which is quite modest if we look at the numbers and not look at the expectations. The growth is not really high. It is not even close to double digits. It is in mid single digits. And the only positive for the company has been that it has been able to beat the sort of pessimistic expectations the markets were having from it. So that is one key reason why we are seeing the share price higher in today's session. But overall, the macroeconomic picture remains challenging, and we will have to stay vigilant and cautious and look reacts. And if it is able to sustain these spike, then we can indeed look for new opportunities, new trading positions on the long side. But today is too early to say whether the momentum will sustain or not. So that's my outlook for the Nike's share price from the short to medium term. And I think we need to give it more time and before we can make a clear call for the company. So thank you all for joining in. If you have any